So today we're going to talk about how to remember a long speech.
How'd you do that?
I see that success is not something you pursue. It is something you are.
All right, so you've got a speech and it's a really long speech. I mean, it's like 45 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes. It's a really long speech and you're wondering what exactly should you do to be able to remember this speech. So I'm going to tell you how I remember my presentations, and it's really simple actually. And I remember the first presentation, my first speech officially. I was doing a speech to these high school students, and I created everything. I remembered most of it. I created everything, and then as I delivered it, because I was cocky, I was like, man, I'm a presenter. I've been presenting my entire life. There's no huge difference between presenting and speaking. So I'm thinking, all right, let me just do this without doing a single mind reading demonstration, whatever. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to get on stage. I'm just going to own it. I didn't even prepare really. And so all I prepared was like a simple outline. And I just thought, okay, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this. And that's all I did. Then I get on stage and I start talking. I'm like, okay, this is good. I mean, I'm getting into my flow. It's good to go. And then, it was supposed to be a 60-minute speech, and I look down, 20 minutes go by, and I'm almost done. I'm damn near finished. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I got one other thing to talk about, and I'm done, and I got 40 minutes left. So I'll try to space out that one other thing that I'm talking about. I tried to space it out, but still, I could only space it out like 10 extra minutes. So it's 30 minutes into it. I'm done with my entire speech. I'm getting paid for 60 minutes, and I'm thinking like, well, this sucks. And so I just reverted to my natural state. I was like, you know what? Let me just show you guys what I'm talking about. And then I just started performing. I just started figuring out things that I could perform for the audience. And so that lasted another 30 minutes. But I thought to myself, okay, the next speech, the next presentation, I'm going to prepare for it. And I thought the same thing, like, how do I remember something so long? And so I was typing out, I typed out my entire presentation. I was thinking, man, how do I freaking remember this thing? This is a lot to remember. And I realized, you know what? Let me just remember it the exact same way that I perform, the exact same way when I build out a presentation. I'm going to do the same thing. And what I do is I chunk everything into pieces. So instead of saying, all right, here's this entire presentation, instead of doing that, I said, okay, here's the first part, here's a second part, here's a third part, and then that's what I did. And I remembered each part, then I put them together. And so essentially what you can do is if you have a story for part one, let's say a story about part one is about the bus, and then you're going to tell another story about the monkey. And then after that, you're going to do this thing. And so that's what I would do, where I knew the first part, okay, I'm going to do this. So the first part in my presentation was that I would essentially do this thing with a necklace, and I'm doing this really cool thing with a necklace. And all I did was practice that one thing. I didn't try to practice everything. I just practiced that one thing. I did it over and over until I really got it. Then I said, okay, the second part is I'm going to do this thing where I'm guessing what people are thinking of. And then once I got that down, I said, okay, bam, bam, bam. I get that down, practice it nonstop. Then I go on to the next one. And at the end, I chunk it all together, and then I do the entire presentation. Now, a lot of people think you got to do word for word every single time. And in the beginning, you're not going to be able to do it word for word. In the beginning, what's going to happen is no matter how many times you practice, there are things that you're going to need to change. And so you want to keep things open to the change. And that's what I would do, where I would chunk it all together, keep it open to change, where I knew exactly what I was going to say. I knew the concepts and everything, and I knew how long everything would take because of practice. And then, bam, you chunk it together, and I would just leave it open to change whenever someone would do something. And I thought it was good to include in the presentation. I would now add it to the presentation. And a perfect example of this was the very first time I did a presentation for Remax, and this was like years ago. First time I did a presentation for Remax, there was this moment in the presentation where I have people, they come up on stage and the guy reads this piece of paper that I have where I made like this prediction, and the guy reads this piece of paper. And on this piece of paper, well, there's three of them. And so the first one he reads, it says, today is X date, I'm here with Remax, blah, blah, blah. and we're going to do this amazing thing. Okay, bam. And then the second one, it kind of goes on. And what happened was he paused because there's nothing else there. He paused, and then I just went in. I said, got to build suspense. And then everyone just laughed. And I didn't do that on purpose. It wasn't written in the presentation, nothing. I mean, it was just this pause. So I naturally said something. I was like, got to build suspense. And everyone laughed. And ever since then, I just included that in my presentation every single time because that pause happens every single time. And so even though you're going to memorize your entire presentation by chunking it together, by creating these chunks of your presentation and putting it all together, you still want to leave things open to when you're actually delivering your presentation. Leave it open so when things like that do happen, you can still change it. But that's essentially how you remember a long speech. You don't try to remember the entire thing. You just remember pieces of it, and then you put it all together at the end and you say, bam, got him.